Hi, I'm Lan with the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and I'm here to read a story with you today. Today's book is Nico by Borovsky. There once was an ape named Nico who lived far away in a tropical forest. He lived with many beautiful animals, a large toucan that was as black as coal with a beak as yellow as the sun, a sleek cat with fur as shiny and soft as the finest silk, a fat snake that was as long as the trees were high, a wild boar with teeth like ivory and a coat the color of chestnuts, and a lizard as green as a new banana leaf. Every day, Nico would get up very early and go through the forest gathering all the food that he could find: nuts, berries, and luscious fruits like mangoes, papayas, bananas, pineapples, and coconuts that were large and full of milk. He would climb up very high in the trees, all the way up to the top where the busy bees were making their honey, and fill his basket with sweet honeycombs that he loved so much. Very busy, Nico would yell as he passed the other animals coming out of their houses. I must gather all my food. Nico would then run home and put all the food neatly in the cupboard, lock the door, and put the key on a string around his neck. When evening came, Nico would unlock the cupboard and count his food, making sure that it was all there. He would then throw away the things that had gone bad, which was quite awful really, because he could have given the food to some of the other animals in the forest who needed it. One day, Nico couldn't go out and gather his food. The bright sunny morning turned gray and the skies opened up, letting heavy rain fall on the tropical forest. The rain fell for days and days, and Nico stayed at home, snug in his little house, dreaming of all the food he would gather when the skies cleared. The other animals in the forest were not as fortunate as Nico. One stormy night, a strong wind blew, sending the toucan's house out of his tree and crashing it to the forest floor. Hearing the crash, his friends came running and found the poor toucan with his long yellow beak stuck deep in the bark of a coconut tree. The toucan was very shaken by having his beak stuck in a tree, as he loved to talk and did so incessantly. The thought of being trapped much longer made him weaken the wings. "Don't worry, we'll take care of you," said the cat as she helped to pull the poor toucan free. "Come with me and stay in my cave for the night," said the lizard, whose bright green skin glowed in the dark. "Tomorrow we will build you a new strong house," said the wild boar, and finally the toucan's beak slipped free. When day broke, the rain had subsided and all the animals came out to build the toucan a strong new house. All except for Nico, who was hurriedly filling his basket with nuts. "Nico," cried the animals, "the poor toucan's house was destroyed by the storm. Will you please help us build a new one?" "I'm too busy," answered Nico sharply. "I'm gathering nuts. My supply has gotten much too low." That evening, it stormed even worse than the night before. Lightning caused an avalanche of rocks to fall on the snake's house, burying him from end to end. Now, the snake just loved rocks and had a beautiful collection that he was very proud of, but he was not at all pleased to be buried under them. "Help me," cried the snake, and his friends came running to the rescue, huffing and puffing as they lifted off the heavy rocks. The poor snake went to stay with the lizard, who was lucky to live in a cave, as caves are very sturdy and can survive heavy wind and rain. The following day, the animals gathered in the early misty morning to build the snake a strong new house. When they saw Nico passing by, his sack was bulging with fruit. Once again, they asked if he would help them, but Nico simply replied, very busy. I need to get more fruit before it rains again." The next night, thunder boomed throughout the forest, causing the ground to shake and swallow the wild boar's house into the mud. At first, the wild boar was having a jolly old time rolling in the mud, thinking it was a beautiful dream. But when he realized that it wasn't and that his house had sunken into the mud, he cried for help. As always, his faithful friends came running to the rescue, and being accustomed to house guests by now, the lizard took him in. In the morning, as the animals were working on a new house for the wild boar, Nico passed by with his basket full of bananas and pineapples. Before anyone could say a word, he yelled out, "I'm much too busy to help you. I must find more bananas." By this time, Nico's house was so full of food that he could barely move. The walls were bulging and the floor was sagging from the weight of everything he had gathered. The house was stuffed with bottles of coconut milk, jars of honey, bunches of bananas, shelves laden with papayas, mangoes, and melons. That night, the rain was just a drizzle on the roof as Nico sat in his house counting his supply. 68 pineapples, 83 mangoes, 115 bananas, Nico muttered as he wrote down numbers in a notebook. He had just begun to count papayas when there came a loud creak from somewhere beneath him. All of a sudden, the walls burst open and the floor fell through, sending Nico and everything else tumbling out of the house and into the mud below. The entire house had collapsed from the weight of the food that Nico had hoarded, and there in the clearing sat Nico, wet, muddy, and cold. All of the animals heard the loud crash and came running to see what had happened. When they saw that Nico's house had collapsed, they were very puzzled. There was not enough rain to flood the house. There was no wind to blow it down, no lightning to strike it down, no thunder to shake it down. But then they saw the piles of food surrounding Nico's house. There were bruised bananas, rotten pineapples, broken coconuts, smashed mangoes, and cracked nuts scattered everywhere. Slowly, they shook their heads. Meanwhile, Nico began picking up bits of spoiled food and pieces of his broken house, but soon he was dropping as much as he picked up. There was just too much for him to do by himself. "What good is this food," he moaned, "when I don't even have a home anymore?" Nico was so miserable that he started to cry. When the animals saw Nico all muddy and crying, they ran quickly to help him. The toucan pulled out his hanky and wiped the mud off Nico's face. "You can come stay with me," said the lizard, "and tomorrow we'll build you a new house," said all the animals together. But, stammered Nico, "I never helped any of you when you needed help. Why would you help me?" The toucan smiled, wiping another of Nico's tears away. "Because you need us now," he said. First thing the next morning, all the animals started working on Nico's new house. They brought the best wood and the strongest leaves that the forest had to offer. They built a sturdy roof that would not allow even the smallest drop of rain to fall in the house. And when they were finished, they made a beautiful wreath of tropical flowers to hang on Nico's door. When the last gray cloud disappeared from the sky and the first sunny day returned to the tropical rainforest, Nico invited all the animals to his new house for a feast. He was so grateful for their help that he made a grand toast thanking them for their unselfish help and for their wonderful friendship. "And I will never be too busy again," he added. Every morning from that day on, rain or shine, Nico would leave a large basket of food in front of every animal's house. And you can be sure that when any of them needed help, Nico was the first to arrive. So what do you think Nico learned? How can you apply the same lesson when helping people who are hungry? It is important to share and to help people whenever they need it, no matter who they are. It was also important for Nico to understand that he didn't need all that food that he was collecting, and it eventually went to waste when he instead could have helped feed other animals in the forest. Thanks for joining me today. Check out other stories read by fellow food bankers on our YouTube page.